welcome back to the channel. Today we are discussing PPP2. This is the big one that I guess is going to be another a lifeline that some businesses definitely desperately need right now. And it's pretty similar to what was earlier with some changes. So with this one, do pay attention. I will go over what the qualifications are, what the changes are, and most importantly, how you need to calculate your eligibility for the same. We're gonna dip right into it. If you are a small business or anyone in general trying to keep up with the tax and the finance and the business world, please do like and subscribe. We kind of go over everything that any small business, sometimes larger, may utilize as well. So the more the merrier. The EIDL and the PPP. And this one, we're going to focus mainly on the PPP because that seems to be the bigger chunk of what people or the small businesses right now are looking at. Of course, there are, starting from the original under the CARES Act, now the PPP they're going to be people who got the PPP and need additional. There will be the ones who got approved the PPP but didn't claim it. For whatever reason. I do have personal clients who said, you know what, they were not sure how this is going to, it's going to pan out. They were not sure whether they would actually needed it. Actually, two of them regretted that decision. And then there are going to be those who were approved a certain amount but was not funded the entire 100% of what was approved. So definitely there's a big spectrum of people that would qualify. One of the biggest difference between the original and the new PPP is the number of employees a business can have, and that number is 300. So earlier it was 500. I guess they're trying to go with the lower businesses or the smaller businesses. So 300, if you have 300 or less employees, you do qualify for this round. Also, there has to be, unlike the last one, you would have to prove that you are eligible based on the fact that the business was hurting. You have to have a gross receipt test. And that comes down to the 25% is what they're looking for. Nonprofits, the veterans organizations do qualify, which was not the case earlier. So if you are, one of those who, I guess, relied on a lot of people donating towards your nonprofit and you provided services, and of course with the pandemic, a lot of us were hurting. So I'm not sure how many of them were contributing at the same level under the normal circumstances. So if you were hit by lower collections than otherwise, because people were not as generous because they probably were hurting themselves, you do qualify for the PPP as well. So please go ahead and do that. This one would also apply to the hospitality. The way it's a little different than maybe any other businesses. So how do you know whether you are one of those who qualify under a different calculation? That is going to be based on your NAICS code. Check with your accountant or tax preparer, CPA, financial advisor, whoever you're dealing with on this one. It has to start with the number 72. As long as your number starts with the 72, what you can get in terms of the PPP funding is definitely bigger than otherwise. Most of the businesses are going to be getting 2.5%. That's like the magic calculation in terms of your wages or your payroll, the 2.5 times of your payroll report. But if you are one of those NAICS numbers 72 and more into basically coming under the hospitality category, your calculation would be 3.5. So 3.5 times your usual monthly payroll compared to the regular of 2.5. So pay attention to that. The other one, most likely, just like the first time, the forgiveness seems to be rolling around a larger category of expenses that you can get away with. Unlike the first one where it was rent, mortgage, utilities, and your PPP, this one covers your damage costs. A lot of businesses did have damages with the riots happening almost throughout the country. It covers that. It covers the supplier's cost. It covers the worker protection expenditure. It covers your payroll as usual, your service and fees delivery, your product deliveries, covers a wider range of spectrum. Again, the ratio still has to be 60-40. 60% still needs to go to your payroll, but then you have other wider range to cover the other expenses. Sometimes, I have clients who have very, very low rental, very low utilities. So it kind of doesn't, the percentage gets screwed if, some of your expenses are lower for you to get the calculations right. But with a wider range, it's much easier for a lot of businesses to keep the calculation correct. So track your suppliers, your inventory, all those expenses would be covered under the PPP2, making it easier for a lot of us. Now let's get into how are we going to calculate. The biggest criteria, first of all, also has to be the fact that all the businesses need to be in business as of February 15, 2020. So if you started your business before that time, you're good. On the other hand, if you started after that for whatever reason, you would have to look for some other ways to get funding, but the PPP2 is not going to be your way for sure, because you need to be in business before February 15, 2020. Now, like I said, the qualification is a gross receipt test. At the end of the day, what they want to make sure is that you actually saw a decline in income. There are some businesses who did better, if not fabulous, during in 2020, it's just the way things worked out, but most of us were hurting for sure. With that being said, I will put up some calculations and the numbers, so please pay attention as to how to calculate those gross receipt tests. Generally, it is quite easy. At the end of the day, you need to be 25% less year over year. The comparison period is your 2019 and your 2020 quarterly receipts. Or revenue, whatever you may call it. So at the end of the day, even if any one of the quarters your receipts were down by 25% or more, you're good to go. It does not have to be all four. Even if you're in a situation where, somehow you managed quarter one, quarter two, quarter three was kind of in line, or it was not as bad, but quarter four ended up being bad. Or most of us, I think for most of my clients, we're looking at quarter two being like really badly hit. So, but the rest of were not the 25%. There is no need to worry. You are good to go. One of the quarters is all you need to qualify for PPP2. As you can see, I have some numbers for you. I basically just took some random numbers to show you how this calculation needs to be done. So you do have a 2019 category. I have a 2020, and this is by quarter. As you can see, in 2019, let's say the sample set took 55,000 in income, and in 2020, the same quarter was 47. Quarter two was 64 in 19, 32 in 2020. Quarter third was 40,000 in 19 and 18,000 in 2020. And quarter four in 19 was 70,000 and in 2020 was 48. So overall, there's definitely anyways a decrease in the revenue or the sales. But that being said, our biggest calculation is going to be between the two quarters. It has to be at least 25%. On this one, I have the percentage with the changes. As you can tell, even though in the first quarter they did have a decline, it's only 15%. So it really is not going to be their qualifier for the PPP2. On the other hand, almost all the other quarters are 25. Especially the second one, like I said, that's probably going to be the biggest possibility compared to any other, is a decline of 50%. Some of them, I know I have some clients who are looking at 80%, and because it was completely shut down, it was the new thing, just didn't know how to open it back up or how to be safely reopening, basically. So second seems to be like the bigger one that's going to get a lot of people qualified. So as you can see, except the first one, basically all these three quarters makes one of my clients do qualify for PPP2 because they are all more than 25%. That being said, the easiest one would also be to have, if you're using QuickBooks, it's very easy to report comparison year over year and a percentage change along with it. So that would be a good way to go if your banks need a confirmation, and believe me, they will. So make sure your calculations are correct, or like I said, talk to your professional, whoever is your accountant or CPA, to make these calculations for you. It's quite straightforward, but at the end of the day, they still need to be done. We should be seeing these PPP, the banks being ready with these PPP too, as soon as like in few days. They're supposed to roll this out. Just like last time, make sure your bank is participating. I did realize smaller banks were doing a better job at being the availability and rolling out the application much sooner than the bigger ones. So see if that is something for you to go with. Like I said, the calculation usually is going to be a percentage of your payroll. So at the end of the day, you're looking at, you could literally take your monthly payroll and have 2.5 times. If you're one of those sole proprietors, the calculation is simple. You basically take your net profit, that's not your gross, your net profit, divide that by 12, gives you your monthly profit or your takeaway, multiply by 2.5 times, and that's what you should be expecting in your PPP funding. Like I said, if you are a hospitality business, that number or that multiplier for you is 3.5 instead of the 2.5. So make sure when you apply for it, you are using the right categories so you get the right amount of money that you deserve. Like I said, it's 300 people or more. For Schedule C, the calculation is basically the same, just like any other corporation, or the small businesses, an S or a LLC or partnership, what you may have. At the end of the day, you're looking at your Schedule C. On your Schedule C, we're looking at line 31, I think. Yeah, line 31 on your Schedule C is the number that you're going to be using for the calculation. And that's pretty much it. I think that should give a little bit of clarity as to how this calculation would work. If you have any questions or you're confused, please do contact me, put it in the comment section. I am good with replying to all my comments, so please do that. If this is something you would want to continue, because there will be additional guidance, there will be additional things that will come up, just like it happened last time. These are like, once they start coming in, there are new calculations, there are new nuances that are always added. So if you want to stay on top of that, please do like and subscribe, or spread the word if you think someone else may be able to use this video to better understand or prepare themselves for the PPP2 round. With that, I'm going to wrap it up, and as usual, I will end it on a positive quote. I did not get the author on this one, but I really liked what it tells about the way we all run our life. So there we go. Ability is what you're capable of doing. Motivation determines what you do. Attitude determines how well you do it. You guys have a great Monday. Happy 2021, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.